Hi, everyone. Welcome to DBC Inc. Live. I am Tara Martin. I'll be your host tonight. I'm super excited. I'll also be your special guest. I am the whole show tonight. So let's do this thing. But I'm really excited to join you all this evening. We did have a guest lined up, but unfortunately, something happened within her realm of influence, her family, friends, and emergency, and she couldn't be here tonight. So you get me. And the greatest thing about having me as your host, anytime Dave or I are your host, then you get to choose a book of choice when you win. So someone in the comment section is going to win a free book just for putting something in the comment section. So say who you are, where you're from, what you do, what you're enjoying about the summer, if you're out for summer, or how many days you have left if you're not out for summer yet. Dave's in the house tonight too. And we are just so excited to be able to share the show with you during the summer. We will not be canceling. Dave says, pick me. But I think he has every book out there. So one of you, like right now, we have a really good chance. Kim, you are looking really solid for possibly winning tonight. Your first one, you're our first comment in here. Welcome, Mark. So excited to have you. Last day. Yay. So exciting. I know it's getting close, and I know all the teachers are just so ready to be done. Welcome, Carly. Love Carly. Every time I think of her and every time I see her little picture, I always think of cute shoes. I'm not sure why, Carly, but I can't wait to meet you in person. And I know I'm going to be amazed by your shoes. I think it's the pictures you post or something, but every time I see you, I think smiles and cute shoes. That's not a bad thing. It's a really great thing, actually. Welcome. Oh no, Lisa. Well, we're happy that you're joining in just for a few minutes. Which book would you pick? Oh, Ryan's putting you on the spot, Dave. Which book would you pick if you got to pick one? I think you would pick Teach Like a Pirate. No, just kidding. Awesome. So excited to have you all here. Sorry, my sweet little honey is disturbing us with these vertical blinds. She loves them over here. So we'll try to keep the show going. If you hear some interruptions, you'll just know it's my 4-month-old puppy. Yes, you're my girl. Awesome. Okay. Well, welcome, Marie. So happy to have you here from Arizona. I knew that. I must have known it from stories because I don't think I've ever met you in person yet. Have we met? I don't think so. I would probably remember your hug. I feel like you're probably a hugger. Hopefully. You should be. When you meet me, you should be a hugger because you're going to get one unless you just hold me back. Awesome. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about a few things. Oh, did you have so much fun? Awesome. I wish I could have been there, Annie. So much fun. It looked like a lot of fun from the pictures, and I love hearing Dave speak, even though I have heard him speak a bunch of times. It never gets old. It always feels like I'm riding a roller coaster, and I even know what's coming, and I'm still always surprised. So awesome. Good to see you, Annie from Denver. Thank you, honey. She's so cute. She got her shots today, and she was really lethargic all day. Now she's wired up for the night. So, this could be an interesting evening. So tonight we're going to be talking about a couple of things. I just thought it would be a nice way to, well, first of all, once I knew I was going to be hosting and running the show, I was like, what can I share that I think educators could actually benefit from right now? And I honestly think a lot of us get this time off. So we finally get this summer time off, and it's time to just like process a lot of thoughts, right? And so, sorry, my dog. I'm going to get my husband to help me out. Hang on. Hate to do this in the middle of the live, but I don't have anyone to help me here. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. Total hugger. Awesome. So I think that when the summer comes, we get this opportunity to just process a lot of thoughts. And sometimes our thoughts can get really hung up. We start to believe things that are actually not true. And then, or we start to allow too many thoughts to clutter up our mind. And then we don't have that space for creativity. We don't have that space for productivity because we just have all these things consuming our mind. And so I thought I would share a couple of strategies that I've learned from my therapist and also just taking and tweaking and making it my own for when I have this thought that's just consuming my mind and I can't seem to get out of it. And let me know in the comments if this ever happens to you, because if it doesn't, we can take a different direction. But do you ever just think on something, you have this thought and it's literally consuming your mind and you're like, I can't stop thinking about that. And it could be true. It could not be true. So I have this thing of, it's a way of mind mapping. I'll call it tease mind mapping. It's really fairly simple. And I'm going to show you kind of what I do. I have my journal like a pirate right here. Dave, you'll be so proud of me. We'll have to drop that link in the comments if you haven't got your journal like a pirate, because it's an awesome journal with lots of different opportunities here. But I'm going to put this up on the screen, but it's just a way that I map out a thought. So once I have this thought and I can't, and maybe it's waking me up at night, maybe it's just something I'm mulling over and I can't stop thinking about it, but I really need to free up some space in my mind, because the truth is we can truly not be as productive and as creative, and we can't relax. So yes, productive, creative, that's important, but also we need these opportunities to actually be able to relax. And that's what summer to me is all about for educators. We need some time down, and then we need to be able to recharge. We need both things to happen this summer. And so when you have a thought that's taking up your mind and building you this web of other thoughts, if you will, because a lot of times this one thought has your mind firing in so many different directions that it's consuming every productive thought that can come out of your mind. It's also sometimes keeping us from rest, it's keeping us from sleep. So how do we get it gone? How do we free the space in our mind? Well, I have this little idea that I'm going to share, and I'm about to start sharing it. I'm figuring out how to share my screen right now. I'm usually doing some other things, and I can do this I'm going to do this at the same time. I've got this. So I'm going to share my screen and share this. I have two different strategies I want to share. This first one I call tease mind mapping. When I dive in, Dave, I'll need you to take over on comments a little bit over here, because yes, good. I'm not the only one with this kind of mind clogging. Good. I'm glad I'm talking to at least one of you. If this doesn't work for you right now, so say you don't have any thoughts consuming your mind, you feel great. You are free mind, relaxing, productive, creative, all the things, then tuck this away in your back pocket. You might need it in the future when things start to get cluttered up again. So here we go. I'm going to put this in presenter mode and share with you. Can you see only that screen? I think so. Fantastic. Okay, so this one's called Tease Mind Map. And so what I like to do, and I know it's a little dark, sorry, I just literally took a picture of my journal to share with you, but I didn't do one of my real thoughts because I also did not want you guys to think I was absolutely crazy. And so I thought I would just share the idea of it. And so good. There are lots of people in here that are feeling a lot the same. Yes. So when I get these thoughts, and this is particular, I decided to use the thought of something that's consuming my mind, that it's not an idea. It's actually like something I feel like is against me. So that's the kind of thought I decided to map out tonight. You may not have these kinds of thoughts, but if you do, and you feel like you should be offended, you might be offended, maybe you offended somebody else, if you're like thinking in those realms, or if it's just something that's weighing on you and it's a real big thing, maybe it's not a great idea, because sometimes that's a different kind of thought process. This is more like something that could be negative in some way, some kind of negative thought. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone or against someone. It could just be something weighing on you. So say you have this thought that's weighing on you, it's consuming your mind. I think the first thing we have to think about with this thought is it true or is it just my perception? Because sometimes I think we get into this place where we allow our own perceptions of events, of things that are happening around us, of someone's actions toward us or our actions toward them to become real, if you will, in our mind. And when we do that, we actually start to create more and more thoughts. I was talking about that spider web, that web of lots of more thoughts that start firing off in your head. And I think this is when the creative mind can kind of turn dark. This is when the creative mind kind of goes to this place where it starts to dream up stuff that's not really real. And it all started with this perception of an interaction that you had with someone. So what I like to do is I like to determine, is this actually true or is this just my perception? And so if I think this thing that's consuming my mind is actually true, then I want to list very specific evidence to prove that it's true. Like, yes, I really did get a speeding ticket because I was speeding. Like, it's really true. Like, this really happened. And be very specific of what happened and why was that happening and when was that happening. Very specific. So if it's true, write down everything you can think about that's true about it, that you know is legit. You have proof to say it's true. Now, if it's a perception, and this is where we have to decide, like, did I just think that person looked at me and rude and immediately just thought, oh, they must be offended with me? Then that's a perception. And at that same way that we listed the true things, I want you to validate your thoughts. It's very important that we validate our thoughts. We really have them. We're really feeling that. So it's great to just list it out. Yes, I feel this. This is what I feel. I think I got this feeling because they looked at me this certain way, or I got this feeling because I'm going through something else and I think it bled over into this situation, but it's really just my perception. But validate your feelings and be very specific there. So once you determine if it's really true, evidently true, or it's just a perception that you have in your mind, it doesn't matter either way, then you decide what parts, or can I control any parts of the situation, whether it's true or it's a perception. Can I control any parts of the situation? And if the answer is yes, we're going to go over to the side. If the answer is yes, then I want you to list out what parts of the situation can you actually control. And this is where it's pretty eye-opening, because sometimes there's not very many parts that you can control, but sometimes there's a few things that you can. For example, if everything at the top is under the perception, I could change my perception. So how do I change my perception? What am I going to actually do to start to change that perception? Could I give them the benefit of the doubt? Maybe they were having a bad day that day. Maybe they just got a speeding ticket and they weren't feeling too good when they walked in that day. Like, there could be a lot of reasons why I'm having those real feelings, but there could be a lot of reasons why their body language sent that message to me that doesn't have anything to do with me. And I think a lot of times as humans, we are kind of selfish, honestly, just in general, kind of egocentric, if you will. And we think things are about us, but really they're not always about us. A lot of times there's just so many circumstances for why it could be happening. And so be specific of what parts and pieces you can actually control, list them out, and then decide, how will I control them? Be very specific with this piece too. Like, example, I will do blank by this date on this time. So maybe I'm just going to walk up and talk to the person like, hey, I noticed you seemed a little off yesterday. Is there anything I can do to help? Was there anything I did to cause this? Or what's going on? What are you thinking? Help me understand a little bit better how you're feeling. Like, reach out to them, confront them. If it's a situation like a speeding ticket, what parts can you control? You can slow down on that road every single time you drive it. You can pay it on time so you don't have to get any kind of extra fees. You can learn from a situation and move forward. You can help your teenage son to know that you make mistakes too, and help them empathize with them and help them to understand that they also need to not speed on that road. There are lots of parts and pieces that we can control of each situation. But once you start to take control, you start to be able to check off those things that you actually did control. This is a lot of mind mapping for one thought, but I'm telling you, it takes about 20 minutes. And once you think of it, you're like, okay, I can free up some space in my mind. And when you do that, you free space. But say we go to, can I control any part of the situation? Say we say no. And if we say no, guess what? Then you need to dismiss that thought and free your mind, period. You just need to dismiss the thought and free your mind, because what you're doing is you're wasting so much energy on something that's taking up a lot of space in your head. It's depriving you of rest, of productivity, of creativity, of enjoying moments, and you have zero control over it. So if you have zero control, which I feel like most of the mind mapping I've done in my journal, there's some part or piece I can control. And I love being able to take control. And either way, if there's no control, then you have to dismiss the thought. You don't have control over it. But if there's any part or piece that you can control, take control. Either way, you're going to free some space in your mind and allow yourself to move forward. I know this is a lot for one little thought, but it doesn't happen to me all the time. But when something is just like camping out and like building hotels in my head, I can't let them stay there. I can't let that live there forever, because it just drives me batty. And it's understandable. Our mind has to be free. It can't control all those thoughts happening all the time. So at some point we have to dismiss some of them. And when you do, you will be so grateful that you did. So another thing I love to do for mind mapping, if you will, I was going to share one more, is, let me back this slide up one and share another strategy that I really love. And this one's so simple. I don't even know exactly where I learned this one, but it's just simply things that lift me up and things that tend to bring me down. It's just a T chart. And in this T chart, sorry, I have so many comments over here. I need to jump in and say something. Let me pause for a second. We'll go to the T chart in just a second. Yes. Writing them down is just like, to me, writing it down, it just also makes you aware of it. Because yes, if you write it down, you can literally say, why? Like almost there's times where I look at the stuff I wrote down, I'm like, okay, T, that was dumb. Like, why are you spending so much energy on this? I'm so glad that you're moving forward, because that was dumb, but I'm glad you wrote it down and realized it for yourself. So sometimes we just need to kind of coach ourselves. I mean, a lot of times I feel like that's the case. Yes. I love these responses. Yes, this is so true. Thank you, Sean. I think reflective practices are hard sometimes because we have to, like I said a minute ago, we have to be honest with ourselves. Like, okay, like if I was talking to a friend and said all that out loud, I'd be like, man, why am I thinking about this? So sometimes you could just do it with yourself without being embarrassed. You could just write it all down, stop overthinking about it, stop burning out on it. Yes, Mark, I agree with you. And so now let's go to the T chart. A T chart made with T. Yes, this is my kind of chart. So I like the T chart because it's real simple. When I start feeling really down or really low, I love pulling out my T chart. It's in the very front of my journal. If you notice, it's like one of the first few pages. This is like right here in the front. And I add things to this all the time too, and take things, sometimes I add things to the other side, but it's one side is things that lift me up. The other side is things that tend to bring me down. It's really simple, really easy, but things that lift me up, I just list them all out. What are the things that when I'm doing them, I'm like, this makes me get higher levels of dopamine, and I need dopamine to be happy and to be excited about what I'm doing. So doesn't mean that we never have to do the things on the right-hand side. No, it does not mean that. But when these things on the left-hand side are in place, I'm feeling like my best self. I'm feeling really good. I'm having high levels of dopamine, feeling happy and excited and taking on life. I'm excited about it. So some of mine are like time with my family, time with my puppy, CrossFit. I love CrossFit. I love getting my accessory workouts in, speaking, teaching, journaling, reading for fun, long walks, music, depends on the style of music, but music usually lifts me up, talking with a friend, working with educators, coaching, traveling. Inbox zero really makes me happy, but it hardly happens anymore. Meeting my goals professionally, personally, fitness, whatever it is. And then things that tend to bring me down, I put them all on the left-hand side. Time away from my family. A lot of times the opposite of the other things, little to no travel, long work hours, too many emails, certain times of the year for me, like Mother's Day, Father's Day, November. Those are tough days for me. I know that those are days when my spirits can get down. And sometimes there are things like that where you've had some traumatic things in your background that kind of get in the way. And when you write it down like this, for me, I write this down because your long-term memory is so solidified, literally, that even subconsciously, it can clutter your mind. Even if you're not really thinking about it, your body, your biological clock knows that it's that time of the year and it starts to trigger these old memories. So it's good for you to just write it down. You kind of taking control. Like I know there's certain times of the year that I tend to feel a little more down. I'm just recognizing it because I want to be aware of it. But when February comes and March comes, I know April and May and June are coming. So May and June are tough months for me. I know I have to be mindful of that. I need to be protective of my mind. I need to make sure I'm not letting thoughts consume my mind during that time because I already tend to be down. I also need to make sure that those things on the left-hand side of my list are in place, that I'm working out, I'm making time with my family, I'm spending time with my puppy, I'm spending time doing things that make me happy because I need a little extra of that. I need to make sure that's in place when I know that I tend to be down at a certain time. So then I list some other things, little to no interaction with people face to face, like good grief, COVID, all those different things. And really, most of the things on the right-hand side are anything that interferes with the stuff on the left-hand side. Why make the T-chart? Why write all this stuff down? I kind of already know it. You might be asking yourself that, or you might be asking me that in your head. The reason to write it down is because when we start to feel down, this is one way we can take control. It's all about letting your mind, body, and heart know that you also are part of this. Like, hey, I can help all this to get into line. I just need to think about this for a moment. And I look at that left-hand side of my list. What if these things are not in place right now? And if like multiple of them are not in place, well, by golly, it's not surprising that I would feel so down at this moment, right? So how do I start to put some of those things back in place? And this is again where I usually will journal about it on the next page and be very specific. I noticed I only worked out twice a week this week, and I like to go 5 times a week. If I didn't go to CrossFit 5 times a week and I only went twice, how am I going to make sure that I go at least 3 times next week? And then 4 the next week until I get back to where I know I need to be. If I'm not reading for fun and I'm only doing mandatory reading, how do I integrate that reading time back in? If I can't get it in, how do I listen? Maybe I listen to an Audible book or I do something like that. But I start to take control. Like these 5 things or these 10 things are not happening right now. And they tend to lift me up. So which one of them am I going to try to put in next week? And then I slowly build it week by week by week until I can start to feel those high levels of dopamine, start to feel happy again, excited again. This is a great activity to do with students. You can have them. And first of all, there's a couple of things that happen if you do this with students. One, or your staff, right? Anybody. One, you can get to learn if they feel comfortable enough to share it with you. You get to learn a little bit about what lifts them up. That's important to know about the people that we serve. What lifts them up? I want to make sure then I encourage them to keep doing those things that lift them up. And I want to encourage them. And when they're feeling super down and feeling disappointed, they're feeling misbehaving in class, they're misbehaving in school, I might ask them, what on the left-hand side of your T chart is not in place right now? We need to go through that sucker and highlight those things. Like, we need to get those back in place. We got to figure out a way to integrate them back into your life so you can start to feel better again. And I love it. By golly, I'm from the South. Sometimes it comes out. It just happens. But yes, Dave's giving me a hard time over here. Yeah, I might need to talk to my boss sometimes. Well, if that one comes in again, I'm going to take control. I'm going to go straight to the man. No, I'm just kidding. So anytime this happens with students, like if they build a T chart, you can also say they don't want to share this with you. It's in like they feel vulnerable, then guide them back to their own T chart. Like, okay, I've noticed you're having a rough few days. This will be your friend, this will be your coworker, this will be your students. Let's go back and look at the things that lift you up and figure out which one needs to be put back in place. Like, there's got to be some of those that are not happening right now. And so I feel like the T chart is just a really easy thing to do. It's usually pretty easy to fill out that left-hand side of the list. And it's usually pretty doggone easy to fill out that right-hand side too, to think about all the things that drive me batty, that give me stress, right? It's easier. Just put them over there. Yeah, so those are my two things that I thought I would share tonight. It's nothing really mind-boggling. It's nothing like, whoa, I never heard of this before. I know it's nothing like that, but it's just another way to take control of our thoughts and to help our mind, our body, and our spirit to kind of get in line with each other so we can flow through life the way it was meant to be. Because when we are fighting those thoughts so heavily, it's almost as if we're swimming up a current the wrong way. We're swimming up the stream, right? The current's coming this way. It would be nice if we just turn around and go that way and let it flow naturally. But when we fight those thoughts, we're swimming upstream. We're not getting anywhere. We're stuck in this place and we're grumpy and we're frustrated. We're out of breath, all the things, right? Just like if you were swimming up current. But if you could ever get a little bit of control, free your space, calm down, regulate your breathing, and let everything flow like life is intended to do, then you just feel more productive. You feel more creative. You get some rest. You are your best self. And so I was just hoping that maybe one of these little strategies could help you. I know summertime is a time where usually, hopefully, you feel better than when you're super stressed at work. But it also could be a time where we allow a lot of thoughts to go into our mind because we have so much time. And maybe these strategies can be helpful for you and not just your learners. So that was just my 2 cents today. I hope it helps someone. Thank you, Marie. And we'll go back and read all of these comments. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Karen. And thanks for watching. All my sisters in the house. Robin, always excited to see her. Yes, so good to see all of you. Thank you again for joining. And if you try one of these and you find it to be super helpful, please do connect with me. I am on Twitter at Tara Martin EDU. I'm on Facebook at Tara M. Martin. And I'm also on Instagram at TaraMMartin.real. So I would love to hear if you try this with yourself, for yourself, you try this with your students, with your learners, maybe with going back to school with your staff, however you try it. You know, this would be a great, honestly, I was just thinking about this. This would be a great back to school, especially the T-chart, would be a great back to school activity with your staff. You know, go ahead and let them put that up right by their computer or right beside their desk. So when things are high, when school's starting and we're happy and we're excited about it, we're thinking about these things. But then when things get tough, we can refer our people back to their T-chart. Go look at that thing. If some of those things are not in place, what can you take off your plate and put some of those things back in place? So yeah, thank you so much for joining. I'm always happy to come on and have some time with you. I'm usually hosting and someone else is your special guest, but tonight you get me. So that's what it is. I hope it was helpful for you. One of you will be winning a free book of choice. We have a lot of books to choose from, and we will be choosing that winner tomorrow morning. So if you're still tonight putting babies to bed or feeding your family or whatever, no worries. You can still be entered to win. Enter your comment over in the side, and we will choose one of these winners tomorrow. I will also include the link to our Dave Burgess Consulting Inc. bookstore, where you can choose any book of choice, and we will send that out to you. Thank you for sharing out my books, Dave. If you want to check out either of those, you can also find some of these cool strategies in there. And thank you again. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And for those of you that was your last day of school, I know someone said that was their last day of school. Welcome to summer. I hope you have some relaxation, and I hope you free your mind and you can rest and recharge just like you want to do this summer. So bye, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.